Hello everyone, welcome to the Recitals in Depth by Vajiram And Ravi, where we will be covering the economy and infrastructure articles from August 2024, where we will be discussing the current affair topics related to economy and infrastructure in detail. The broader themes which we are going to cover today are as follows: Indian economy, money and banking, public finance, infrastructure and investment, and social development. Hello students, welcome back to the recitals discussion for economy and infrastructure, where we will be looking at August 2024 articles which are of economy and infrastructure importance for your UPSC CSE examination. Now we'll be starting with the table of contents. If you can see, there are almost around 30 topics to be covered in this particular session today. With reference to economy topics, as we can see, there are various topics across various themes of the UPSC syllabus pertaining to GS3 economy and also the various sections of our prelims examination. Now, as always, I recommend all my students who are watching right now that please do open the recitals. You keep the recitals beside you. You also watch this video alongside, and you try to have a comprehensive understanding of whatever we are discussing on this video and whatever things you are reading alongside with me in the recitals part. So this will be ensuring that you are not only reading but also understanding the various concepts and also the comprehensive package of the recitals discussion. So with this, we'll be starting with the very first article. Now, in this very first article, recently, according to Ministry of Fisheries data, there is a rising trend of India's seafood exports, and this is a very important news for the marine sector, or say the fishery sector of our country, because we know that India has a long coastline. Can anyone in the comment section mention me what is the length of overall India's coastline? Now you know that India is having a very long coastline with many states lying alongside the coastal borders, and that is why we have to understand the potential of seafood, potential of fisheries industry for the coastal sector, for the coastal populations is very high. And that is why we can see the data here, as we can see here, with reference to production and also with reference to exports. India's fisheries exports or seafood production and exports, they have been increasing from around 2020-21, and as you can see, there has been a consistent increase not only in exports but also production, right? The production trend has been increasing consistently from 2019-20. Now from 2019-20 to 2020-21, we actually saw a little bit of dip in the exports, mainly attributed due to the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic of that actually brought almost all of the economic activities at halt. So that is why we have seen a slight decline in the export section, but from there upon, as we can see, there has been consistent increase. Also, if we can understand who are the, say, main buyers of the seafood from India, or we can understand what are the major market exports from 2023-24. As we can understand, the major market here, if I can show you, is US followed by China, Japan and rest of the countries. Now, why we are discussing all of this? Because in the prelims examination of our UPSC CSE, we have various questions related to data trends. Now UPSC asks you some questions pertaining to whether, say, the seafood production has been consistently increasing over the last 10 years, 5 years or not. They also ask you whether there have been some noticeable changes in, say, the various, say, parameters of export and import of the, say, same topic. Next, they also ask who are the major, say, countries who import seafood from India. So these are the various trends you have to be very much aware of. Now this was the prelims part. Now when we talk about, say, what are the main steps that the government of India has been taking that has increased the seafood exports from India from 2020-21 to present. Now there are many initiatives. One of the most important initiative is the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. Now this is having a budget of around 20,000 crores, right, which is trying to have an overall infrastructural development and the various aspects related to fisheries sector in the country. Now when we talk about this particular government scheme, it is extremely important for India, and this is actually harnessing the fisheries potential of the country by enhancing the production and the export of the fisheries sector in the nation. It is also alongside the same, not only trying to increase the production in the particular fashion, it is trying to improve the technological aspects that are available with the fishermen of the nation. Now we know that they use various boats, they use various tugs, they use various nets. So those aspects must be modernized if we compare our industry with that of say Canada, right, Japan, or say US. Their fishery sectors are far more mechanized and they use more and more capital with reference to their fishery sector, and that is why they have a lot of production in this particular sector. So India is also trying to increase this under this particular program. Next, India is also trying to have this cold storage system where we have to understand after we are having a particular fish stock, we have to preserve them for a long period of time, which is why we need cold storage units. And also we have to understand that the main aspect of this particular scheme is to double fishers and fish farmers income over a period of time, right? It is also to enhance the contribution of agriculture, right, to our say overall Indian GDP, where we know that the fishery sector come under agriculture and allied activities, right? While they do not come purely under agriculture, but they come under the allied activities such as livestock, fisheries, and so on. And this is what we have to understand was relevant for this particular Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. Apart from this, there are various other initiatives also. Firstly, we understand the role of MPERA, right? Now this is a very important organization which is trying to improve the overall infrastructure, right, infrastructure of the entire fishing sector in the country by having a proper amount of say transportation sector, logistics for the fishery sector, right? Now the next part is actually from the union budget of 2024 to 25, where there have been relaxations in various say custom duties with reference to the say import of various equipments that are required for the fishing sector in the nation, right? So these are the various initiatives that the government is taking over a period of time to improve the technicality, to improve the production of the entire fishery sector in the nation. Now there is another important initiatives which we know as road trip, remission of duties, right, with reference to various taxes, with reference to various customs that are levied on the exporters, right, or the Indian exporters. For example, we can understand maybe there is an exporter, right, who is exporting fish, right, to the US. Now when this exporter is exporting this fish, that particular person maybe has to pay some taxes related to land, maybe some taxes related to various services, maybe the fishing nets, right? Maybe that particular person or the exporter also has to spend up some money on say the transportation issue, right? So there are many say services that the exporter is using, and also there are many taxes and say import duties, say various other kind of say duties which these exporters are paying to the say government of India. But we have to understand that if we increase our exports, right, this is beneficial for the country for our better amount of GDP over a period of time. But if you understand, if there are so many duties, taxes and so on, this will be acting as an impediment for our exports. So that is why the government of India provides this facility to refund all of or say most of the say whatever taxes and collection that they are to the particular exporter. Now this has been increased to 3.1%. Now this is actually a very welcome initiative because now the exporters will be claiming around say 1% more. That is, earlier it was around 2% in the room of 2%. It has been increased to 3.1%. That is, right now they can, or say the exporters can more and more credit with reference to the various taxes that they have paid. So it is actually making the ease of doing business much more efficient. Now, so these are the various, say, initiatives why the fishery sector in India, or say the seafood production, seafood exports are increasing over a period of time. Now, as always, I would present a question after almost every topic, whatever we are going to discuss here, right? And you have to answer me. You have to answer me what is the same, what is the answer of the same in the comment section below, right? So this will be creating an active participation between us all, right? So we will be also seeing that how you all are actually trying to participate in this kind of sessions, right? So please do let me know the answer of the same in the comments below, right? Now students, in the next article, we'll be looking into a very important and interesting development in the aviation sector of the country. You know that the aviation sector of any country is extremely important because of the infrastructural need of the country to develop more and more airports, to develop more and more logistics sector of the nation. Now we understand that India is actually quite behind in the logistics sector, that is the overall integration of roadways, railways, airports and so on. And that is why the government of India over the last few years have been taking extremely important steps to improve the logistics sector of the nation, and that is what comes with reference to the MRO industry. Now this is pertaining to the aviation sector specifically, and this is actually with reference to maintenance, repair and overhaul of, say, the aviation sector in the nation. Now these particular industry are actually subsector of the aviation sector. What they do, they actually look into the maintenance of the aircrafts, of, say, the various parts in aircrafts, of the various components of aircrafts, right? And also they try to repair them, they try to overhaul or, say, change the technology, improve the technology over a period of time. You know that normally, as the operation of a particular aircraft carrier, for example, say Air India, Indigo, they operate such huge or say thousands of aircraft fleets, right? They have so many aircrafts with them, and that is why some of the aircrafts may be needing some repairs, some of them may be needing some maintenance, and this is a sector within the aviation sector, right, which is extremely important, because not only we should be having higher number of aircrafts, we must be also having the services to repair them, maintain them, right? Just like a car, right? Whenever we buy some car, we go to the showroom. Also the same showroom will be having some repair and maintaining operations. So this is exactly the same thing. And that is where the service providers who provide this maintenance and so on, they become extremely important for the aviation sector in the nation. And obviously for a developing nation such as India, we need more amount of, say, aviation sector investments in the same, right? We need better airports, but also we need better MRO operations too. So these are the things which you can, or say we all can, incorporate in our mains answers and give a fresh new perspective. These are the things which you will be, say, quoting mains answers perspective, pertaining to infrastructure, where you will be saying that apart from airports, we need more and more MRO operations too. And that is exactly what the government of India is also focusing on. Now, if we look at some data, which are also important, right? If you can understand, during, say, the COVID pandemic, obviously it was, evident that, from financial year 2020-21, right, the aviation sector suffered a setback due to the pandemic, due to the lockdowns and so on. So obviously the passenger freight declined. But right now what you can see, from 2021 onwards, 22, 23, 24, all the years have seen rising amounts of, say, domestic passenger traffic in the country. Also with reference to this, you can see from 2022, 23, 24, the international traffic, or say the foreigners, right, who come to India for various purposes, they have also been rising over a period of time. Apart from this, some other data, as we can understand, the top aviation markets, right, if we compare them, right, the top is Mexico, Colombia, China, Vietnam, Spain, and then we have India, right, where these are the countries who have increased their capacity between 19 and 23. That is the more number of investments that they are trying to do. That is, if you can understand, India is behind Vietnam, China with reference to the investments, with reference to the aviation sector in the nation. So definitely with reference to global nations, right, we are also kind of lacking behind. Also, look at some more data here. Air travel is going to skyrocket in India, because we need actually more number of aircrafts over a period of time, because obviously we understand, since we have a huge population and the huge population is engaged in various economic activities across various parts of the nation, so definitely we need more and more airports to come up. If more and more airports come up, we need better amounts of airplanes, more number of airplanes. That is why we have to understand, to operate around, say, by 2030, our demand for aircrafts will be reaching 1,500, by year, per year, as you can see. And to maintain them, we obviously need some services like this, right, who are trying to, say, maintain a proper aircraft. As you can see, there are various technicians who are trying to repair maybe the wings, maybe trying to have some, say, fresh insights into the fuel capacity of the plane here. So there are many, say, aspirations for the development of this MRO industry, which is actually looking, or say, taking care of the various maintenance, repair and overhaul of the, say, particular aviation sector. This is actually the backbone of the sector, as you can see here. As you can see here, in the US, right, in the US itself, the maintenance, repair and operations market size, right, is, as you can see here, as of 2024, it is $91 billion, right? If we can, if we can actually try to capitalize on this particular sector, we can have, almost the same industry, say, potential, right? It is also projected to increase to around $100 billion in the US by 2029. And also it grows at a CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, of around 1.7%. So a very good opportunity for India to develop this particular sector. And we know, if we can improve a particular sector here, that such as MRO, it can create better opportunities, it can create more and more employment, it can lead to better and more skilling opportunities for the people. So that is why the government of India recently has been taking some of the steps to increase the presence of these MROs in the nation itself. Now we understand that India as a nation is having hardly, prominent aircraft manufacturers, which are actually present all over the world. And that is why we understand we must be trying to at least have some companies with reference to MROs. And that is where the government of India has been promoting various steps. Firstly, the government of India has reduced the GST rates from 18% to a 5% uniform IGST, which will be on the, say, various amounts of, say, parts, components that will be needing for the repair and the maintenance of the aircrafts. Next, in the Union Budget 2024-25, the government of India actually tweaked some of the norms with reference to the import and the export, with reference to the very repair works. For example, say there is an aircraft, right? This is an aircraft which has been, for example, sent to India for repair, from the, for example, say, US. Now obviously we understand this is something which the US has sent to India to repair. That means, for example, it is kind of a service which US is taking from India. So intrinsically this will be, one, say, example of how India is exporting some of these MRO services to the US, right? So we have to understand there are some timelines. Under which this particular operation has to be done. So in the Union Budget 2024-25, without going into too much of details, because this kind of details are not that important for your exam, you have to just understand that in this particular budget, the norms, or say the timelines, have been made more liberal for Indian MRO industry to adapt, right? So for example, say, so a particular, say, deadline has been increased from 3 months to 6 months, from 2 years to 5 years. So that is why we have to understand that it has been made more and more liberal for the MRO industry in the nation. Next, according to new MRO guidelines from 2021, right? Now, the land that the MRO industry need, right? They have to be distributed to the MRO, say, industry in a fair and transparent manner by the Airports Authority of India. So these are the various norms with reference to land that must be given to the MRO industry. Next, the GST on MRO has been reduced from 18 to 5% with proper amount of input tax credit. Now we understand that whenever we have some manufacturers who would want to, say, purchase any raw materials for their manufacturing items, for example, in this case, it's MRO industry. Now we understand that with reference to various goods, they have to pay some taxes with reference to GST on the raw materials. But we understand GST is a particular taxing system which is trying to prevent cascading of the taxes, due to which the manufacturers are liable to get some input tax credit or whatever the tax they are paid on the various inputs or raw materials during their production. So this is where from 2020 this has been reduced, the rate of which has been reduced from 18 to 5%, right? Next, the foreign OEM transactions with reference to this particular, say for example, say sector where we have the US as a country who is sending some airplanes to India to repair them, right? These kind of transactions with reference to original equipment manufacturers. For example, if Boeing from India is sending their Boeing jet, right? If Boeing from US is sending their jet to India, now India is trying to repair them, maintain them and everything, and they are trying to send back the same to US. Now this particular thing must be treated as an export activity, right? Now this is also something which has been made a change, because if you understand, if you try to say improve or say try to classify this as export, and we have various say schemes and policies for the export sector, so obviously over a period of time more and more exporters will be interested in this business. We have also 100% FDI via automatic route under this particular industry, and also there are various kinds of custom duties which are exempted for the sector. Now with reference to whatever we have discussed, please do let me know this very simple question and what is the answer in the comments below. Now in this next article, recently the Punjab government has allocated around 2,300 crores for the construction of the Malwa Canal. Now when we talk about this particular canal, this will be extremely important for the irrigation in this region. As we can see, this is a region of Punjab where we have the Ravi, Bias, Satluj river, right? And we also have this particular canal which is proposed, right? This is the canal which will be running from the Sarhind, kind of feeder, right, to around say the confluence of say the rivers of Bias and Satluj almost in this part of the Punjab. Now this is a very important project where we understand this will be around 150 kilometers long, where there will be around 2000 cusecs of water. Now can anyone in the comment tell me what is 1 cusec? Now let me examine whether you are actually reading the recitals with the video or not, right? So we also have this project to be completed in 5 years, and around 2 lakh acres wide. This particular region is of around 2 lakh acres to be irrigated under the seam, right? And finally, when we talk about the canal, we also have to look at some of the challenges. Firstly, the Punjab government is actually incurring a debt to have the construction of the seam. So obviously we know over a period of time, there are many state governments which are piling huge number of debt. And this will be reflecting on the various say capabilities of the state government to spend on various welfare activities, also to pay off the previous debts over a period of time. So this is where this is a thing which will be piling up a lot of debt on the Punjab government. Next, there are various issues with reference to land acquisition, particularly in the rural areas across the various parts of the nation, particularly Punjab, right? So this land acquisition issue is also a very serious concern, where there can be various impediments, and maybe the canal construction phase, say the operation phase, will be facing some issues from the say farmers, from the various local people with reference to land acquisition, right? Next, there are issues with reference to environmental degradation. We know that a particular stretch of say this kind of canal irrigation project will be constructed over a period of few years, and that can also have a broader ecological impact on say the various ecological troves across the region. It can be forests, right? And also we understand the environmental clearances to be required, right? Particularly if you are trying to say build a particular canal from the say the Satluj river and the Bias river and say the surrounding river waters, correct, will be also needing some environmental clearances that can be also be causing an impediment over a period of time. So these are the things that you had to know with reference to the proposed Malwa Canal. In the next article, we'll be looking at this bridge which we know as Bailey Bridge, which has been recently used in Wayanad to build a safe passage for various people affected by the floods. Now, this bridge is known as a modular bridge. That means this kind of bridge can be easily be set up, and be easily be dismantled, right? Now, this kind of bridges are extremely flexible to be particularly used in areas which are prone to disasters, or say the main background of this thing is that they were used in World War II, where during World War II maybe the soldiers needed precise amount of bridges to cross some very rough terrains. So what they do, they used to carry some loose, say, devices that were needed for the construction of the bridge, and they used to connect each of the equipment, each of the component there on this, on one part of the bank, and they used to connect various parts of the same and construct a bridge in a very less period of time. Now, building a bridge actually takes a lot of time, and if you understand, these are the bridges which will be, say, easing the movement of the troops, the movement of, say, the various forces with reference to some exigency needs and so on. So that is why these bridges are used particularly right now by the Indian Armed Forces. Now, in India, there has been a legacy of using these modular bridges by the British, and right now the Indian Army or the Armed Forces are also using the same. Right now, recently it has been seen in news. Why? Because the Indian Army has used this to evacuate people from the Wayanad region, which was hit by various landslide events due to heavy rainfall, right? So these are actually very unique things which you can also mention in your mains answers in the section of disaster management to recommend some way forward or, say, innovative measures for the same. Now, these are all the things we needed to discuss regarding the modular bridge here. In the next article, we will be seeing that the Union Government and the World Bank has collaborated on the Green National Highway Corridors project. Now, this particular project is announced in Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh to transform the present highways to highways just like this. As you can see, these are highways which are perfectly green. These are having various green corridors that connect various, say, patches of forests on either side of the highways. They also have proper amount of investment in, say, afforesting the highway regions of the particular states. This is the initiative which will be covering around, say, 781 kilometers of highway in the country, and the deadline will be 2026 May. Now, we understand that the main aspect of green highways is to have a proper amount of conservation and ecosystem management, right? We know that highways construction are not only polluting and degrading nature, but to maintain them over a period of time, right? For example, we have to use asphalt, we have to use various amounts of coal, right? And various amounts of polluting, say, elements in the construction of highways, that it makes it very unsustainable right now. And also we know that India is a nation, it's trying to have sustainable management practices with reference to construction of various buildings and trying to have sustainable activities in various infrastructural sector of the nation. So that is why the same has been also integrated in this, where the green highway approach will be having a proper amount of conservation benefits by using trees, by using various green activities. It will be also trying to have proper amount of watershed management with reference to, say, various, extreme rainfall events and so on. To manage them, we must be also having a proper drainage system. Next, it is also trying to have a proper life cycle energy and emission reduction approach also over a period of time, right? So this is how the green highways will be also trying to reuse, reduce and recycle the various, components which are used, which are actually taken into consideration in the construction of the highways too, right? Now, we can understand that already we have a green highways policy in India, which is trying to delink, right, the plantation work from civil contract. Now, because we have to understand that whenever a particular highway is awarded to a particular contractor, that particular contractor has some obligations to afforest, say, some stretch of the highways, right, over a period of time. And now this main policy is that we must be trying to delink the plantation work from the contractors, because it has been found that the contractors, they do not fulfill the obligations either, or they try to have a very patchy work over a period of time. That is why this policy is trying to have a whole of government approach where, say, the government sector will be participating in the greening of the highways. There will be also green corridors, as we have seen here in this particular case. Environmental improvement, employment opportunities will also be created. The people who use highways for travel, they will be also be pleased with the aesthetics of green highways, greenery, proper amount of trees and so on. And also there will be various amounts of, say, infrastructure which will be able to transport people, animals over a period of time, right? Because there have been many cases of some animals living in this forest, and when they try to cover or say migrate from this forest to this one, they are often, say, subjected to roadkill. So these are also the things which the government is also taking care of. So these are the various features of the green highways policy. Now the main objective of the national green highways corridor project is to have proper amount of green corridors with reference to the participation of various NGOs, local communities and so on. And also 1% of the total project cost of the all highway will be dedicated or devoted to the highway plantation and its maintenance. This is extremely crucial. Also, we have to understand the construction of the highways. They will be also using various sustainable materials, right? They will be using sustainable materials with reference to, say, materials which are non-polluting in nature, which are also having a broad amount of environmental acceptance from the various environmental activists and the scientists, right? We will be also using various materials. We'll be also using various materials which are actually biodegradable in nature, right? Which are not polluting to the environment over a long period of time, right? We should be having a proper emphasis on conserving the overall environment as a whole. So these are the various objectives that we have to take care of, and please do let me know the answer in the comments below of this particular question, right? Please do participate, make this session very interactive. Now recently a very important change has been denoted in the national pension scheme, where recently the government of India has allowed the parents to denote a particular pension scheme for their children. So we know, firstly we'll be starting with the national pension scheme. We know that NPS is a voluntary pension scheme for all citizens. It is not an, say, compulsory scheme that all of the citizens have to follow. So whatever they can contribute, right, they have to, say, start the scheme between 18 and 70 years, right? And this will be a properly voluntary scheme where, it will be allowing the people to save particular financial resources for their retirement and derive the benefits out of the same. And finally, whatever contributions, for example, I am making around, say, for example, 500 rupees, say, per month to NPS. That means whatever money that I am trying to invest in the national pension scheme. So the national pension scheme will not be keeping my money, idle with themselves. Obviously, what they will be doing, they will be trying to invest this money into, say, the banking sector of the nation. They will be, for example, they will be using the funds for various infrastructural projects in the nation. So whatever I am contributing, you are contributing, everyone else is contributing in the nation, they are trying to use the money into various other activities. So this is actually what we also mean by a market linked contribution scheme, under which the contributions are invested in various market linked investments such as funds, bonds and so on. So these are the various aspects with reference to the NPS. And recently, under the NPS Vatsalya, now the parents can have an NPS for their children below 18 years of age. This will be very, very important for the children, or say the social security of the children in the future, because this will be giving them income assistance, right, with reference to pension. And obviously, this will be creating a proper avenue of, say, financial awareness for the children too, from a very early age. These kind of schemes are important for the better amount of financial inclusion for most of the population, right? At a very young age, when the children are aware of this kind of particular schemes, obviously going forward, they will be making better financial decisions in the various parts of their life. So that is where this particular scheme is extremely important with reference to the children. Okay, now again I have a question. You let me know the answer in the comments below. Recently, India got its one of very first geospatial system with reference to agriculture known as the Krishi Decision Support System. This was jointly developed by the Ministry of Agriculture and the Department of Space for the better evaluation of the Indian agricultural sector. And this will be enabling the farmers to make to actually take better decisions with reference to their cropping habits and the various agricultural activities they are going to take. And here this Krishi decision support system, this will be using various technologies such as GPS technologies, such as GIS, such as remote sensing, radars, where they will be trying to, or say the government of India is trying to give the farmers a particular platform where they can have complete crop insurance, complete information related to various crops that they are trying to cultivate. Apart from this, the farmers will be also be made aware of using this technology to better improve the productivity of their farms over a period of time. How will be possible? It will be possible because this platform is specially designed for the Indian agriculture sector, and this will be providing various information related to weather patterns. What are the various weather patterns in various parts of the country, and what are the crops that the farmers can grow with reference to the various weather patterns. And you know that crops are very weather sensitive, that is why the weather patterns must be clear. Next, crop mapping and monitoring is also a service which will be provided by this particular system, where the various crops, how they're performing, are they subjected to some environmental stress, are there, for example, some risks related to some pest activities. Next, crop insurance will also be much more efficient, as we know that in India we have the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Now, one of the major issues of Fasal Bima Yojana is if, for example, if there have been extreme rainfall and due to this rainfall, the crops have been damaged. Now, what is the quantum of the loss for the farmer, right? Did the farmer exactly grow some particular crop for which the farmer is claiming insurance? Or say there are many issues created or say highlighted by the insurance companies also with reference to the claims that the farmers are making and their own claims, because obviously we do not have proper information about how much the crop was lost, how much the damage was in reality. So that is why this particular geospatial system, which will be looking at the crops, this will be monitoring the crops, and this will be also giving insights for the various crop insurance programs in the nation too. Next, it will be also looking at drought monitoring and say the potential for various parts of the country which are very prone to drought. It will be trying to give warnings to the farmers to divert their agriculture practices to more and more environmental friendly practices. Next, this particular platform will be also giving us insights into the various soil profile data, soil profile maps of the country. It will be also giving us the complete overall assessment of the floods and what is the impact that they are having, because we are using technologies, we are using satellites, we are using remote sensing capabilities to look into all these aspects. It will be also giving the farmers early disaster warning, for example, pest attack, heavy rainfall, hailstorm, etc., which are actually attributed for the mass destruction of various crops in the country. Apart from this, we will also be having a particular system which we know as the comprehensive One Nation One Soil mapping portal of the country, where this will be a portal under this system where all of the Indian soil profiles will be present on a single place. With reference to this, we will be also having a library with reference to the agriculture knowledge with reference to this portal. So these are all the salient features that you need to know for the Krishi decision support system. Now, with reference to this topic, I again have a question for you all. Please do let me know the answer in the comments below. In the next article, we will be looking into the PM KUSUM scheme and also a report by the Center on Science and Environment regarding the various implementation hurdles in the PM KUSUM scheme, where according to CSE or Center for Science and Environment, there are gaps of around 30% implementation hurdles with reference to the implementation of the PM KUSUM scheme. Firstly, we will be looking into the basics of what is PM KUSUM scheme. Individually, we will be looking into the various components of the scheme. See, The PM KUSUM scheme was launched by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy in 2019. What were the main objectives? To add solar capacity of around 30,800 megawatts by 2022, but this target was not fulfilled in 2022. Now this has been extended to 2026. Now here the total central assistance or say financial support will be at the tune of around 34,000 crores. That means that all of the scheme is not funded entirely by the center. So the state governments are also contributing their share. The state nodal agencies, right, of this particular ministry will be coordinating with the states and the union territories or the various discoms or the companies with reference to power distribution in various parts of the country, and also the farmers will be present for the implementation of the scheme. Now, when we talk about this particular scheme and the main objective here, this is actually trying to increase India's share of solar power generation, as simple as that. You will be using, say, solar panels to improve the agricultural scenario of the country, where de-dieselization of the farm sector, providing water and energy security will be the main priority agenda here. De-dieselization, why? Because Indian farmers use tractors, use various generators, and for which they use diesels. Now these diesels are causing obviously high amount of pollution in the country, and also we understand that water levels are decreasing over a period of time, and also many pumps in the say agricultural sector, they use heavy amount of electricity, due to which we know that the farmers, they are given free electricity in most parts of the country, and due to which they try to exploit the free electricity, due to which they actually try to extract almost unlimited say quantity of waters from the groundwater level, and this is depleting the groundwater level. Apart from this, this is also putting high kind of stress, high financial stress on the power distribution companies, the discoms, and also the state governments, which are trying to give incentives to the farmers for free electricity. Now this has increased the financial burden of state governments with terms of free electricity. So this is why we will be using solar plants to channelize this particular energy, and this will be increasing the income of the farmers also by curbing environment pollution too. Now let us look at the scheme components here. There are three components, A, B and C, where component A is actually the installation of 10,000 megawatts of solar capacity by setting up small power plants of capacity of 2 megawatts. So there will be small power plants of 2 megawatts which will be set up by the farmers, panchayats, cooperatives, farmer producer organizations, etc. in barren land, right? In barren land, in not productive land. Obviously, with reference to component B, there will be replacement of diesel water pumps with 20 lakh off-grid solar powered water pumps, right? So these water pumps, which are right now being say operated by free electricity, having an enormous say burden on the groundwater level and the financial capability of the state governments, there this solar powered water pumps will be installed, right? And the government will be supporting individual farmers in setting up the solar power plants up to 7.5 horsepower. And component C is the replacement of electric water pumps with 15 lakh grid connected solar water pumps, right? So this is firstly, B component is replacing the diesel water pumps and then the electric water pumps. Now we understand that these are the components which are trying to have a proper amount of solar energy in the agricultural sector, for which the central financial say component for B and C for the diesel and the electricity components, right? So 30% of the benchmark cost for the tender cost or whichever is lower, state governments will be giving 30% subsidy, remaining 40% of the farmer, and center will be giving 30%. So 30, 30 and 40. So the farmers have to also pay for this particular thing. In the northeastern states, Sikkim, Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Lakshadweep, Andaman Nicobar Islands, right, where the center will be contributing of 50%, state government will be contributing 30%, and remaining 20% will be given by the farmers. So this is the broad idea that we are going with. Now, with reference to, say, PM KUSUM, we are having various implementation hurdles. in the states of Haryana, right? In the states of Haryana, we understand that most of the farmers are going for scheme B components, right? In Haryana, in various other states such as northeast states also. So most of the farmers are going for B, that is say replacing the diesel water pumps with solar power. Now this is an issue. Why? Because the components A and C are not being utilized, which are actually the most important ones, right? Because we have say a proper amount of installation of solar energy in component A, and also replacing the electricity driven water pumps. So that is where we have to understand that A and B components must be also be utilized. Second, most of the farmers, they have to bear a lot of the cost, and that is why, as you can see here, as of 2020 also, the target was not fulfilled, right, with reference to say the implementation of the solar irrigation pump installations in the rural areas, right? While it has been increasing from around 2014, when PM KUSUM was even not a particular scheme which was announced back then, right? But we can see that the new additions were very little over a period of time, right? So we have to understand that this implementation issue is maybe one of the reason, because the farmers have to spend a substantial amount of funds, right? It is actually very costly for them, correct? Next, the farmers are already getting free electricity, right? The farmers are already getting free electricity. Why will the farmers be investing their money here? That is also a thing, that they do not have any incentive, right? They do not have any incentive to go for PM KUSUM, correct? Next, we also find that many farmers, they go for large solar pumps, right? And this is an issue. Why? Because whoever advised the farmers that you go for large solar pumps because you have a large field, but ultimately at the end of the day, even maybe say a normal pump would do the same function. So this is also putting further financial stress on the farmers. And finally, the over centralization of this particular scheme is also leading to the implementation issues, particularly with reference to tussles between the various, say, the ruling governments of the state government, right, between their political parties and the main political party at the center. So there have been various political issues with reference to this. So the main recommendations that we have here is, obviously we must be having greater amount of decentralization of this particular scheme, where we must be better involving the panchayats, the state government, the district authorities with reference to the proliferation of the scheme. Next, we also have to ensure that the farmers, that their financial burden, that they reduce over a period of time. Maybe central assistance can be increased with reference to the farmers' activities, right? So these are all the things that you can give in the recommendation aspect. Now, another question for you on PM KUSUM. Please do let me know the answer in the comment below. In the next article, we'll be discussing on the collision avoidance system, because this has been in the news due to the various increasing amount of railway accidents that are taking place in the country. We'll be talking about the technology of the same, while the collision avoidance system is actually referred to as Kavach in India. Now, this avoidance system is extremely important for the various operations of Indian Railways, because this system ensure the smooth functioning of the Indian Railways by preventing the accidents. But we have seen that in recent times that we are having various amounts of railway accidents over a period of time. So here, under this particular topic, mainly we'll be focusing on the exam related information with reference to how the recent Kavach is actually operating. Now imagine here that there are two trains which are approaching each other, right? Now, using this example, we'll be understanding all of the things which are involved in this particular technology. So look at this particular image, two trains approaching each other. There are signal lines, and maybe the signal lines have, say, a field or something related to that, because the trains did not stop even when they have come so close to each other. So this particular system is trying to have automatic brakes or automatic braking system, ABS. Now this ABS is trying to operate in such a way that the trains will be fitted with GPS antennas and various other specialized equipments, Now what these equipments will be doing, they will be connecting or they will be contacting with a proper amount of radio antenna. This radio antenna is further, or say another part of the component from this team will also be connected to the global positioning system or satellites. Now both the radio antenna, right, and the GPS will be in operation. Now the radio antenna is also connected to the traffic collision avoidance system or the TCS station, right. This TCS station is also having the liaison with the GPS antenna which is connected to the satellite. Now if any train is approaching each other, right, both of these train is having the GPS antennas and they can alert the satellites first. Now when the satellites will be alerted that these two trains are approaching very rapidly, then this satellite will be sending a signal to the radio antenna. Radio antenna will be intercepted by the TCAS station, and this TCAS station is having this automated algorithm to be calibrated to the trains, and the trains will be instructed automatically to stop. So this is a particular system which is trying to signify how we can use technology, we can use radio technology, we can use satellites to have a proper automatic braking system in the trains, right? So KPS or Kavach protection system, right, which is Indian Railway system, it is using a set of electronic and radio frequency devices installed in the locomotive of the train, in the signaling system as well in the tracks, that talk to each other using high ultra radio frequencies to control the brakes of the train and also alert the drivers. So this is a comprehensive system how this operation or how this Kavach is actually operating in real life. Now with reference to this, we have this topic in the GS3 syllabus under infrastructure and railways, and you always are welcome to quote this kind of technologies in your answers, in your mains answers. Now with reference to prelims, I have a question for you all. Please do let me know the answer in the comments below. The students in the next article will be looking into, now recently the Department of Pension and Pensioners Welfare has actually released something which we know as Bhavishya portal. Now as we can see here on your screen, we have this particular application. This is this Bhavishya portal which is trying to have a proper amount of linkage of all your pension funds on this particular portal, right? Now diving more into details, for example, imagine a situation where we do not have this particular Bhavishya portal, right? For example, there is a pensioner here, right, who is a retiree from maybe say government services. Now this person is having many questions. For example, how can I track my pension status? What are all the forms that I need to fill? Maybe this person is just going to retire and he's maybe having some forms to fill for the retirement purposes, for the pension purposes. This person can also feel that I have already retired, but the various, say for example, say pension, provident funds and various aspects of the same, they have not been issued yet. So these are the various issues that the person is facing. This person is also thinking that when I will be getting the pension. So what this person does, this person goes to a particular pension office and is trying to fill the pension forms offline, right, and then is trying to submit the form to the concerned officer, right, in this particular office. Then the office is not responding to any of the calls after thereafter. The office is very slow. You know, all the government say offices over a period of time, right? Now we understand that in his very first visit he submit the pension forms. The second visit he is going to track the pension cases. In the third visit he is maybe also trying to track the pension case again because there are various delays, right? And there are many more visits if you know these particular officers and these particular people are not performing well, right? We do not have a proper track of the same. So that is where the Bhavishya portal is entering. Now this is after the Bhavishya portal. What the person needs to do with reference to anything that this particular retiree is having in his mind, right? He just has to go to the online portal here, right? This is a pension sanction and payment tracking system, right, which is a Bhavishya portal, and that person has to just fill in the forms online in the Bhavishya portal and submit to the concerned officer online itself, right? So that person will be getting something which we know as ePPO in his own DigiLocker, right? Can anyone in the comment section tell me what a DigiLocker is? Because DigiLocker is always in the news right now, and let me give you a hint. This is actually a form of digital public infrastructure. So please do let me know what do you mean by DigiLocker, right? And that person is having this particular file in his own DigiLocker, after which that person can download the DigiLocker files here, and they can actually have a proper amount of say communication with the pension office via SMS, via email, right, via various login instances and so on, right? With reference to say any kind of applications, the person will be having timely processing of the pension cases at each and every level. Online tracking is also possible. Auto registration and enrollment of the retired is also possible. This entire process is entirely transparent and accountable. Why? Because whoever the officer will be appointed, they will be having a proper amount of deadline, right? So within the same, they have to be accountable for their actions. And here, the most important aspect is making the life of the pensioner easier, for which we have to understand this is a form of public service where a simple technological intervention can actually bring in change in so many people's lives. And that is why we all are also preparing for this examination, because these particular schemes, these particular operations are just to make the people's life more and more easier, which you are also trying to understand over a period of time, right? So this is the main application of this particular portal, right? Now, I have one question for you all for this particular portal also. Please do let me know with reference to the answer here. Recently, the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, they have answered some of the questions that many people had with reference to PM Pranam, a very, very important initiative for the fertilizer sector in the country. Now, to discuss this, firstly, we'll be talking about what are the various aspects here. See, the full form of the PM Pranam is PM or Prime Minister's Program for Restoration, Awareness, Generation, Nourishment and Amelioration of Mother Earth. Why? Because we know that in our agricultural sector, we are using various amount of fertilizers, right? And these fertilizers are leading to soil degradation, because there are loss of say soil fertility if we use fertilizers over a long period of time. Fertilizers also disturb the nutrient balance of the particular soils or particular crops, of also the various nutrients we need in our day-to-day lives, because the chemicals, they remain as a residue in our foods. Next, it is also very harmful for the environment, because accumulation of fertilizers in various water bodies all across the country, they lead to eutrophication, right? Now, in the comment section, can anyone tell me what do you mean by eutrophication and why this is a very important and serious issue in the nation, right? So these are the various issues with reference to fertilizers. Apart from this, the farmers, they also try to overuse the fertilizer, particularly fertilizers such as urea, right? And the NPK, right? Fertilizers which are not used in a proper ratio. So these are the various issues with reference to fertilizers in the nation. And that is why the main objectives of PM Pranam is actually to protect the Mother Earth by incentivizing the states of the Union Territories, by reducing the use of chemical fertilizers and promoting better organic or natural farming, right? And also the use of alternate fertilizers such as say microorganism, compost and various other things which do not have chemicals in them. Next, the methodology is that, or say the incentives to the states for promoting alternative fertilizers and balanced fertilizers use will be mainly to promote natural farming across the nation, and no separate financial support will be required here. Why? Because mainly the fertilizers which will be targeted here will be urea, will be NPK, right? Will be muriate of phosphate and will be DAP. Now what will be happening here? With reference to all of these fertilizers, obviously the government of India, the state governments have various initiatives to promote these fertilizers, right? They have various subsidies. Now what this particular PM Pranam will be targeting, that it will be not having any separate budget. This will be, or whatever the funds that will be required for PM Pranam, that will be channelized from the existing fertilizer schemes and policies, right? And the 50% of the fertilizer that will be say saved, right? 50% of the fertilizers or say the funds which will be saved by the states, right? these funds will be given as a grant by the union government to the state government, right? Now, this 50% of the funds that must be saved has to be taken into considerations in a period of 3 years. That means whatever or whichever the state governments have saved 50% of the for fertilizer subsidies by actually reducing the consumption of subsidies in their states, and that should be calculated on an average of 3 years over the last 3 years. This particular fund will be used, or say will be actually be given as a grant by the government of India to the state government, right? And this particular fund, 70% of these funds, right, 70% of this particular grant will be actually be spent into looking into what are the various alternative fertilizers, maybe compost, maybe vermicompost, maybe using microorganisms, maybe using organic fertilizers, right? 70% of the funds will be given to this, right? 70% of the funds will be given into development of various alternative fertilizers. It can be also be spent on technology to have better amount of fertilizers, say that will be not be polluting for the overall environment, right? Apart from this, the remaining 30% will be given. The remaining 30% of this entire grant, right? Remaining 30% will be given to various farmers, will be given to various civil society organizations and various other say actors, stakeholders in the agriculture sector who are doing exceptionally well in this particular say reducing the fertilizer use, chemical fertilizer use over a period of time. So 30% of the funds will be also be given to these people to incentivize them and to promote them as a role model in front of the nation. So this is a very, very important scheme for the reduction of fertilizer use in the country, and this is what we should be also trying to quote this kind of schemes and policies in our main answers, maybe as a part of our conclusion or a way forward. So this is a question for you all again. Please do let me know what is the answer of the same in the comments below. Now recently, a major PSU in the nation inaugurated the Omkareshwar floating solar project in Madhya Pradesh. This is a very crucial project, right? Where this is the world's largest floating solar power plant to come up in Omkareshwar Dam, which is located in say Madhya Pradesh on the river Narmada in the Khandwa region of Madhya Pradesh. The estimated cost is around 3,000 crore rupees and or almost a 600 megawatt capacity is to be constructed here in this particular area, and this will be reducing 2.3 lakh tons of carbon emissions. Why? Because this will be the world's largest floating power plant on a particular dam, and the main aspect of India right now is to reduce the carbon emissions, is to actually increase the generation of electricity or say power from renewable energy or say non-fossil fuel capacities. Now here, that is why this particular activity or this particular project is extremely important, because we understand as of now, as of June 2024, the installed solar capacity in the country is at 85.47 gigawatts, which must be increased over a period of time to actually achieve India's Panchamrit goals. Now, can you tell in the comment section, because we have discussed Panchamrit goals so many times, in the comment section, can you, some of you mention what are the 5 Panchamrit goals here? And this is a very, very important project. This is why, please do let me know the answer of this in the comment section below. Recently, the Ministry of Ports and Shipping under the Panch Karm Prakalp has launched this initiative of Green Tug Transition Program. Now to understand this, firstly look at this image properly, right? Look at this image properly. Here you can see that here we have a very huge ship, right? We have a very large ship here, and there is a small boat-like structure here. Now these are actually what we know as tugs. These are actually what we know as tugs. And as you can see here, if you can see, there is a small line also connecting the tug to the ship. Why? Maybe because maybe the ship is stuck, right? Or maybe the ship is totally damaged. Maybe some of the components of the ship has been damaged, due to which it cannot move in the waters anymore. So that is why we need some secondary vessels to pull it. Just like, whenever a card is maybe damaged or say in an accident, we have to take another card, right, and say I have to pull it. So this is exactly the say tugs which are used in our Indian shipping industry and in the global shipping industry too. And now the main aspiration or the main agenda of the government is to transform these tugs into using say green energy over a period of time, right? So as you can understand, there are 13 major ports in the country as of now, and please do pause the screen and please do look at the important locations of all the ports in the country. Please do note that we also have Port Blair, correct, which is a major port in the nation, right? So we understand that these are the 13 major ports of India, and this is extremely important for the overall shipping industry, that these tugs have a proper amount of energy from the green sources, right? Firstly, this is extremely significant because this will be trying to decarbonize the shipping sector, which is extremely very vulnerable to pollution. Now, in this particular aspect, we also have various MARPOL standards, right, with an emphasis to reduce the shipping industry emissions. And obviously India is also maintaining the same, due to which India has to, over a period of time, have to reduce the amount of CO2 emissions from the shipping sector. Now, can anyone in the comment section, anyone tell me what are some more conventions related to shipping sector right now in the entire world? Okay, the next significance is that India is supposed to invest around 1000 crore for this particular initiative, and this will be creating a lot of jobs, right? This will be creating, say, Make in India boost to improve manufacturing, maybe also to improve the export economy of the country. So this is highly significant for our nation because this is trying to promote domestic innovation and manufacturing with the same. And also we have to understand that these are based on innovative technology of green technology, where there will be electricity generators which will be involved. There will be various sensitive components in this particular tugs which will be involved, which can actually promote innovation between the startups, between the MSMEs, between the various industries in the nation. So that is why this particular program is extremely significant for the development of the country. Also, when we talk about the Panch Karm Sankalp, these are actually is a broader ambition of the Ministry of Ports and Shipping to transform various ports in the country. Firstly, the Ministry of Ports and Shipping is trying to promote or give 30% of financial support under this Sankalp for the promotion of green shipping in the nation. Under the Green Tug Transition program that we have discussed here, the JNPT Jawaharlal Nehru Port, the VO Chidambar Port, then we have the Paradip Port and the Deen Dayal Port and the Kandla Port, which will be procuring 2 tugs each, right? Next, the Deen Dayal Port and the VO Chidambar Port, the Tuticorin Port, will also be developed as Green Hydrogen Hub. Now, Green Hydrogen Hub is actually a very important imperative of the nation. Why? Because we are promoting something which we know as Green Hydrogen Mission, National Green Hydrogen Policy, by which we are trying to manufacture hydrogen using renewable energy such as solar energy, such as wind energy. And obviously, we need to store the energy and use the energy most prominently in the shipping sector if we want to have, say, a green transition from using fossil fuel to renewable energies. So that is where these 3 ports will be transformed to Green Hydrogen Hub, not only for India but also for all the ships maybe from the rest of the world who will be coming to these hubs, and they will be refueling themselves with the green hydrogen. There will be also a single window portal to facilitate and monitor river and sea cruises. Now, cruise tourism in India is increasing over a period of time due to the increasing incomes of the country, and this is why the cruise tourism in various cities, in various mainly the coastal areas, they are improving over a period of time. Finally, there are 3 more ports which will be converted into small ports by next year, right? So these are also some of the initiatives under Panch Karm Prakalp.